The following clips you are going to see are coming from my Twitch streams over at Mudkeep11, so if you have the chance, come over and say hi. Firstly, we start by making the mold of the middle part of the sombrero by making a big tinfoil cone-like shape. It has a flat base, but a spherical top. Make sure you have lots of tinfoil for this, and try not to make like a single spherical ball. Use a hammer or a rolling pin to hit it. This makes it more compact and allows you to make the desired shape. Position it in the middle of the cake tin. This by far is the longest process because of how much tinfoil we use just to make it big enough to use in the cake tin. Now you grab a big bowl. Make sure it's quite big because we're going to add quite a few ingredients to this. First, we add 5 ounces of flour, 5 ounces of corn flour, and 2 tablespoons of salt. This is going to be your dry ingredients. Then, you grab 2.5 ounces of lard or vegetable fat and cut it up into small cubes. This makes it a lot more easier to mix with the dry ingredients. Then, talking about mixing, you just mix it all together, either using a wooden spoon or even your hands, which I think most people would agree is the most fun option. But because I'm a boring person, I just use a wooden spoon. You mix it until it reaches the consistency of wet sand. After reaching the aforementioned consistency of wet sand, we start to slowly add boiling water while mixing. Don't add too much so that the mixture becomes slimy, but not too little that the dough becomes crumbly. The mixture should be soft, slightly crumbly, but not slimy either, like the consistency of Play-Doh. After reaching the wanted texture of dough, we need to now knead the dough until it becomes one solid ball. The point of kneading is to develop the strength and texture of the dough, improving the overall quality when it is baked. Post-production Mudkeep here, looking at me tossing the dough at 10 times speed, I find it really funny. What do you guys think? Type it down in the comments below, I'll read it like right now. Afterwards, we then just wrap it in cling film and leave it in the fridge to allow it to rest and soften, making it easier to roll and form. While we let the dough to rest, I did some wolf whistles and got absolutely nothing. After allowing people to watch me experience my own personal hell for an hour or so, we now have to take the dough and subdivide it into 3 parts. One is for the base and the middle tower of the sombrero, the second piece is for the brim of the sombrero, and the last part is to fix any patches that may appear while spreading the dough over the mold. Now we have to individually laminate each piece of dough. This is done by rolling it out and folding it into thirds and repeating it around 3 to 4 times, whilst rotating it 90 degrees each time. This is done to develop the gluten and allow the dough to become a strong single chip to hold its weight and not break. After trying a new camera angle and doing more laminating, we now need to wrap the dough back in the cling film and place it back in the fridge once again to rest. Instead of starting with laying out the dough in the mold, I actually chose to refine the metal cone because I felt like it wasn't that good. We are now finally at the part where we can shape the hat itself. We thinly roll out each piece of dough, allowing us to use the mold we made early on and to gently place it on top. Afterwards, we use our next piece of dough to create the brim of the sombrero, using a spoon to stick it to the circumference of the tin and also joining it up to the other piece of dough on the base of the tin. Finally, we now have to cook the hat. We place it in the oven for around 45 minutes in a preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius. I am not American, but I'm also lazy, so I'm not going to convert it for you guys. We then take it out after 45 minutes and lightly apply a thin layer of oil over it during its cooking process to give it a more crispy texture. After, we place it back in to bake for another 45 to 75 minutes, or at least golden brown, which is the color we want. Whilst this cooks, we can work on the guacamole. I used 2 avocados and gave it a generous helping of lemon juice, salt, and pepper. This is a classic recipe for guacamole, and trust me, it's not that hard to make. Also, don't forget to clean your work surface after everything. Have to practice good hygiene, especially after everything that has happened in the past few years. After waiting for a long time, we give the hat a good amount of guacamole. Allow a bit to spill to give it the artistic touch, but because I'm not an artist, I forgot to do this. Now, for the most anticipated part of the video, how does it work as a hat and does it give me a speed effect? So, here's me wearing it as a hat, and yeah, I felt faster than usual, but because of how small my cake tin was, I can wear it and run with it at the same time.